Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you? I hope you are doing great, having fun with your lectures and enjoying these video classes. Okay, today we are going to discuss another interesting topic of English grammar, that is transitive and intransitive verbs. You must have heard a lot about them, but often they can be confusing for a lot of people. Today we are going to eliminate that particular confusion by studying them in detail and learning tips and tricks to recognize them. Okay, so I will begin with a structure of a sentence. I want you guys to recall that we've been reading that the structure of a sentence consists of a subject, a verb, and an object. Okay, here, while discussing transitive and intransitive verbs, I want you to know that verb is the important part here. We will be focusing on this particular verb. So, verb, transitive or intransitive. A verb can be described as transitive or intransitive based on whether it requires an object to express a complete thought or not. Sometimes you must have read different sentences that do not have an object. What about them? Are they incomplete? Not necessarily. They can be complete, they can be expressing a complete thought or an idea, but depending upon the existence of the object, we decide whether the verb is transitive or intransitive. So I want you to recall the structure again: subject, verb, and object. To know if a verb is a transitive or intransitive, we have to know through the existence of the object. Before I continue telling you the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs, I want you to know about direct and indirect objects, beginning with direct objects. So, our direct objects are words that receive the action of the verb. Means they are the nouns and the pronouns that are the receiver of a particular action. The receiver of the action the verb is performing. Okay. Direct objects tell who or what is receiving the action directly. Okay. I'm going to explain you this through some examples. For example, the boy kicked the ball. What? What did he kick? He kicked the ball. He is directly performing the action on this, the ball. So the ball here is the direct object. Similarly, Ali ate an apple. He ate something. What did he eat? He ate an apple, direct object. Mariam invited her friend to the party. Tells who? Mariam invited someone. Who did she invite? Her friend. So her friend here is the direct object. Note, some verbs have direct objects and others do not. That is what we are going to discuss on the next slide, that is indirect objects. An indirect object is a noun, pronoun, or a noun phrase even that signals what or who receives the direct object. Now, indirect object is linked with direct object. Okay. The indirect objects are the recipient of the direct object. Means indirect object is related to direct object. They are only present in a sentence when there is also a direct object. If there is no direct object, indirect objects do not exist. How? I gave my only copy to his friend. My only copy here is direct object. To his friend, it is further continuing, it is indirect. Okay. Paula passed the money. She passed the money. Past here is the verb. The money is the direct object. Who did she pass it to? To her mother. Further, it is indirect object. We gave a bone. We gave a bone. We subject. Gave verb. A bone is the direct object while our dog is indirect. I'm sure through these examples you be able to differentiate between direct and indirect objects. Now, keeping these two in mind, we are going to learn about transitive verbs. If a verb has a direct object, it is transitive verb. Very simple. A transitive verb is an action verb that is followed by a noun or a pronoun that receives the action. It means it is important for a verb to be transitive if there is a receiver of that particular action or verb. Okay? Some transitive verbs can also have an indirect object that comes before direct object. Means there are some cases in which transitive verbs have indirect object but that comes before the direct object. These are rare cases, so we are not going to discuss them in examples. In example, the first one is Michael fixed the table. He is fixing something. What is he fixing? The table. A kitten followed me. Who did the kitten follow? Me. Proper answer. Complete thought. He sent the letter. He sent the letter. What did he send? The letter. So if you notice, the underlined nouns here or pronouns are direct objects, direct receiver of the verb. On the other hand, intransitive verbs have no receiver of the action, means there is no noun or pronoun to receive the action or on which the verb is performing the action. An intransitive verb does not have direct or indirect object. Keep in mind that unlike transitive verbs, intransitive do not have direct or indirect object both. Examples are he sleeps too much. It is not mentioned that where does he sleep. Okay, he sleeps on the sofa, on the couch, we don't know. Alina complains frequently. Alina here is the subject, complains is the verb, but there is no object. What does she complain about? We don't know. We only know that she complains a lot. Similarly, it is raining. No proper direct object here. So these three sentences are intransitive verbs. Now, how do we figure it out that whether the object is direct or not? To determine whether the verb has a direct object or not, ask whom or what after it. Means you have to ask yourself a question. I'm going to explain you through an example. Consider the sentence he wrote a story. The verb here is wrote. Okay, the subject he. Ask yourself, what did he write? Answer a story. Of course, he is writing a story, which means the story is the direct object and the sentence has transitive verb. To further clarify this, let's figure out together. State whether the type of verb in the sentences is transitive or intransitive. Here are the sentences. The first one is the baby smiled. Ask yourself, who did the baby smile at? We don't know. There is no direct object, so this one is intransitive. Moving on to the next one, the thieves stole his car. The thieves are the subject, stole is the verb, and his car the object. What did they steal? They stole his car, so it is transitive. Next, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Thomas Edison here is the subject, invented is the verb. What did he invent? What? Ask yourself. It is the light bulb, which means the sentence is transitive. Next, the pirates laughed heartily. The pirates subject, laughed verb. What did they laugh at? What? Ask yourself. We don't know. We just know how they laughed. We don't know what they laughed at. So this makes this sentence intransitive. Next, Mrs. Carper clapped. Again, Mrs. Carper is the subject, claps the verb, but what did she clap at? We don't know. Okay, so this sentence is also intransitive. That would be all for today's lecture. I hope you had fun and now you understand what is the difference between direct and indirect object and what is the difference between transitive and intransitive verb. I am sure that you won't be facing any confusion in the future, inshallah. Take care of yourself and Allah Hafiz.